Good morning, and welcome to the movie show. I'm Nick Dwyer, and today with me we have a special guest, Luke Hesseltine, discussing the topic of how well Roman Polanski and Trevor Nunn have interpreted the original text of the famous play Macbeth. Good afternoon, Luke, and welcome.
Thanks, Nick. It's great to be here.
Firstly, let me ask you, in your opinion, does the filmic interpretation need to be consistent with the original play for it to be successful?
Well, no, Nick, it doesn't. And this is evident in Polanski's version, as he has consistently throughout the film added his own visuals and changed scene orders. Even though Polanski did this, he still interpreted the original text fairly well and won many awards for his film. Trevor Nunn's version, however, stuck extremely close to the original text, leaving everything nearly exactly the same. Nunn did this as he was a member of the Royal Shakespeare Theatre Company and was trying to bring across exactly what Shakespeare had wrote and wasn't concerned about visuals and scene order. Nunn's film was extremely successful for this reason and also won film awards. However, in my opinion, this film has a smaller target audience because of this reason. Polanski was an experimental producer and used a range of shots and camera angles. This also contributed to how consistent his version was.
Okay, can you give me an example where Polanski has altered a scene in order to get the message across better for a film?
I believe King Duncan's death is a big scene in the movie, as it shows us Macbeth's true colour. Polanski has decided in order to show us the type of person Macbeth really is. He shows King Duncan awakening whilst Macbeth is brutally stabbing him. This short 5 seconds of film shows and gives us a sense of disgust towards Macbeth and shows us the brutal feeling of person he really is. By adding and giving us this feeling, Polanski has set up Macbeth's character for scenes to come. This is a clever bit of directing as it still sticks by the original text, however, modifies it in a way to give us a different feeling about Macbeth. In Nunn's version of the play, we don't actually get to see Macbeth killing King Duncan, and doesn't leave us with the same feeling as we do for him in Polanski's version. In saying this, Nunn has intentionally left this out, as in the original, King Duncan never actually awakes, and hence why Nunn has left this out.
Why do you think Polanski has chosen to be less consistent with the original text, and do you think the fact that he has filmed it on a set has anything to do with it?
Well, that's a good question, Nick. I believe Polanski chooses to be less consistent, as he was one for experimenting. Polanski, unlike Nunn, was not a part of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and was not restricted to a word-for-word reproduction of the play. He was able to use the set and special effects in order to create more of a movie atmosphere, as opposed to a stage production. Polanski liked to experiment with camera shots, one of his favourite being the panning shot. This shot starts off with close-ups of the scene's main characters, which then pans out to a much wider, much broader shot. A key point in the movie where we see this is when Macbeth is being crowned king, and the camera actually pans out so that we can see the ceremony. Polanski also chose to consistently add gore and brutality in his films, as it seems to be in his blood. This is shown in the film when Lady Macduff and her son are brutally murdered. Polanski decides to add another 5 seconds of film showing a woman being raped and the village being burnt down. This is not necessary, however, Polanski has added it in order to bring across the brutality of it. Also, by having the advantage of special effects and filming on a set, meant that certain scenes would take place at the same time in the film and be at separate locations. The freedom meant it was always going to be hard to stay 100% consistent with the original.
Do you believe these differences have anything to do with the director's background?
Yeah, well I do, Nick. I believe Polanski's work was affected by several traumatic and horrific events which occurred in his life. During his life, he was accused of rape, his wife was brutally murdered, and he was actually imprisoned for 30 days at one stage of his life. These 3 things, I believe, majorly contributed into the way he presented his films in such a brutal and at times inhumane way. I also believe Trevor Nunn's work was affected, as he was a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company for many years. Being a part of this group meant that Nunn's films would follow strict guidelines and follow as per the original text as much as possible. This is backed in Macbeth, as we see the film produced on the stage and presented nearly word for word as it would have been in the 1600s.
How successful are the 2 filmic interpretations in terms of characterization, in particular Macbeth?
Well, in Nunn's version, once again, he doesn't go for entertainment by adding and changing lines. He sticks directly by the text and shows the characters as per the original. He follows the script nearly word for word and gives us an accurate representation of the characters in the original text. Polanski, on the other hand, altered his characters slightly. He changed them in a way which would suit a film, but not a play. A good example is in Act 4, Scene 3, when Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost at the dinner table. Obviously, in the play, you would not see the ghost, but as Polanski has the advantage of special effects, he can actually give us a visual of Banquo's ghost. Because of the special effects and the way we see the characters, we develop and feel a different way to them at particular points of the movie than to the original. However, by the end of the film, we are left with the same impression of all the characters than we are after reading the original text. In regards to Macbeth, Polanski, in my opinion, has made Macbeth more of a control character, whereas in the original we get the impression that Lady Macbeth is more in control.
Okay, and finally, between the two films, which do you think has interpreted the original text better and why?
Well, as I said previously, it is obvious that Roman Polanski was not as consistent with the original text. However, still managed to get the story across. Trevor Nunn, however, was extremely consistent and, in my opinion, portrayed Shakespeare's Macbeth better than Roman Polanski has. In saying this, I believe to a modern audience it would be better suited to watch Polanski's version as it still portrays the story of Macbeth and is suited better towards a more modern style of audience.
Well, that's about all we have time for, folks. Thanks, Luke, and until next time, good night.